All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the 6 most common advertising problems that you've likely faced before when you're advertising things for your med spa or aesthetic practice and how to solve those problems. And so just to kind of set the agenda for this video really quickly here, in this video, we'll talk about the most common problems you face when running ads and how to fix them. I've spent hundreds of hours creating and running ads, personally calling my clients leads, so actually picking up the phone and talking to leads and setting appointments for my clients over the phone. And I have faced every single one of these problems that we'll talk about in multiple times in lots of different ways. So hopefully my experience can improve the results that you're getting and also help you get more qualified clients for your treatment plans and your packages. So the 6 problems we're going to be covering are no leads. So if you're running ads and you're not getting any leads at all, low quality leads. So if the leads that you're getting, they're not responding, they're tire kickers, whatever. The leads don't respond. So if you're reaching out to them by calling them, texting them, emailing them, and they're not responding to anything, if they don't schedule an appointment, if they don't show up, right? So if they're not scheduling or if they're not showing up to the appointment that they do schedule, and if the leads ultimately don't buy. And when I say buy, I'm not just talking about the initial upfront thing that we're advertising on the front end. I'm talking about buying your treatment plans or your packages, which is where the real profit is made. It's really important to make the difference there. When you're running Facebook ads or Instagram ads or any ads in general, you're likely not going to make massive profits on the front end. If anything, you're probably going to lose money or break even on the front end with the like $70, $80, $90, $100 discounted treatment that you're doing on the front end. The real profit is made in the upsell. So the real profit is made when you sell people into higher ticket things, whether it's something for $500, whether it's a treatment plan or a package for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. That is where the real profit is made. And so that is where like 99% of your effort and focus should go towards. But we'll talk about that later in this video. Before we move on here, I also just want to mention that these problems are not exclusive to Facebook ads. I see, ads from other marketing agencies that work with med spas all the time, and they try to convince you that there's something inherently wrong with Facebook ads, that, running Facebook ads, that's why you're getting low quality leads. It's because it's Facebook or it's because it's Instagram, and Instagram and Facebook are filled with low quality leads or whatever. But these problems are not exclusive to Facebook. No matter how you're getting cold traffic, so if you're doing any kind of marketing where you're getting cold traffic, in other words, people who have no idea who you are, they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you, then you are ultimately going to experience all 6 of these problems no matter what kind of marketing you're doing. It's just at what extent are you experiencing these problems. So anyone that tries to convince you that they have some secret magic marketing or platform or thing that isn't Facebook but it's so much better than Facebook, it's likely that they were just really bad at solving these 6 problems and now they're trying to sell you some new opportunity and make it seem like it's something really special. But topic for another day. So number 1 here, no leads. If you're not getting any leads from your ads, in my experience, 9.999 times out of 10, it's an offer issue. So the offer is the thing that you are advertising on the front end. It's the thing that you're giving away, the special discount, the offer, the promotion, the package, that type of thing. The thing you're offering is not perceived as valuable enough. So for example, if you have a treatment where one single session is $350 and you discount it by $50 and you run it for like $299, that is valuable, right? You just gave them $50 off. That's amazing, but it isn't perceived as valuable in the customer's eye. So that's the problem there. 9 times out of 10 is that your offer just isn't good enough. Other potential problems are that your ads just don't catch people's attention. So if you're not getting leads, maybe people aren't stopping the scroll because your ad just isn't good, like the actual visual itself. Your headline or your body copy don't build curiosity and desire to get the click. So when people are actually reading through your ad, they're not like, whoa, that sounds really good. Like I want to find out more information on that. Or your method of collecting information includes too much information. So the lead form or the landing page where you actually collect a name, email, and phone number, I found that a lot of the times, like adding more and more information into the landing page or the lead form actually does more harm than good, because ultimately we want to capitalize on people's interest while they're on that page. And so we want to make it as simple and as straightforward as possible. So basically, here's what you're going to get, submit your information, get the voucher. That's it. We don't want to try to over explain or over convince at this part of the process. There's plenty of time to do that later. So how do we actually fix this lead issue? Well, this is my least favorite problem to have. Out of all the 6 problems we're going to talk about, this is my least favorite, because without consistent leads, you have nothing to base your decisions on, and you don't really have a business at that point. Like if you don't have people that are consistently putting their hand up and saying, hey, I'm interested in coming in for a treatment or a package or whatever it is, then it's really, really difficult to grow or scale. So to fix it, what we need to do is we need to primarily focus on the offer, and we create an offer with the following criteria. So your offer should be somewhere between $19 to $99 in price point. It's the offer that you're advertising needs to solve a real and painful problem. So not something that you're just making up or something that's nice to have, but something that is a genuine, real problem that people have. You should include 1 to 3 bonuses that enhance the results of the main treatment, and you should include a guarantee of some sort. Now, I made a video about this. My last video is why lower ticket treatments or lower ticket offers on the front end are better than mid-ticket or higher ticket treatments. A lot of people hear the $19 to $99 price range and they're like, nope, we've done that before. We get a whole bunch of low quality tire kicker leads, but that's that's a problem in your sales process. That's not a problem with the ad itself. I have found that using a price range between $19 to $99 gets you the most leads, and usually it's just your job from there to quickly qualify and unqualify people, which we'll talk about more in this video and I've talked about in my other videos as well. So I want you to kind of imagine it like this, right? So how to fix your lead issue. If we just take something that looks like this, you have an absolute stranger who doesn't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you at all, and you have a very mediocre offer. You're giving them this really steep hill that they have to climb in between before they can even become a client. Because if you just have like a mediocre, like kind of bland, bleh offer, this bridge is kind of similar to like the skepticism that they have or the fears or the doubts that they're experiencing before they actually take you up on that offer. And so the more mediocre and the more kind of bland your offer is, the steeper this hill is. Right? But on the other hand, if you have an absolute stranger and you have an amazing, irresistible offer, so something that we're giving away on the front end that is so incredible, then it reduces the hill, right? It makes it a lot easier for this stranger to walk over the bridge to becoming a client. And so the better your offer is, the more likely it is that someone will actually become a lead. And if you learn nothing else from this video, if you absolutely hate marketing and you hate sales and you hate all things about, client acquisition or getting new clients for your med spa or aesthetic practice, the number one thing that you can remember is that the offer is the most important part of everything, right? The better the offer is, the better everything in your entire process is going to work. Now, if your offer fits the criteria that I laid out before, so it's within that price range, you have multiple bonuses, you have a guarantee, and you're still not getting leads, then I would test like 2 to 3 rounds of new ads, new copy, new lead forms, new landing pages, et cetera, et cetera. Like I would test out different visuals for your ads. I would test out different copy, and I would try to see if it's an ad issue. And then after 2 to 3 rounds of doing that, you probably just need to come to the market with a new offer because whatever you're doing right now clearly isn't working. Now, if your question is like, okay, well, how do I know if it's the ads? How do I know if it's the ads that I should test, or how do I know if it's the copy that I should test, or the lead form or the landing pages? And that's a whole topic for another video of how to actually read the numbers in Facebook. The true answer is to hire me to do it for you. But ultimately, you really want to think about it in terms of like the stages that someone goes through. So they stop to look at your ad. From there, they click onto your ad. From there, they fill out their information. And so we can figure out wherever the bottleneck is and like figure out, okay, well, it seems like people are clicking on our ad, but they're not submitting their information. So it's likely an issue with our lead form or our landing page, et cetera, et cetera. But that's a topic for another video. So low quality leads. So let's say you're now getting leads, fantastic, but you're complaining that they're low quality, right? The low quality lead issue manifests itself at different stages of the process. So you're getting leads, but they're not responding. Oh, they're low quality. They're not booking in. They're low quality. They don't show up. They're low quality. The leads are broke. They're low quality, right? For this video, we're going to focus specifically on how we can automatically weed out people who are never serious as early as possible in the process so that you don't have to deal with them if they do show up. Because the worst thing that could happen is you schedule somebody in who is not actually serious or a low quality lead for an appointment, and then they show up and they don't buy anything, and now it was just a huge waste of everybody's time, right? And so the most important thing that we can do is we can filter out and weed out the people who weren't serious as early as possible in the process so that your team is putting 99% of their focus on the people that are genuinely serious. So how do we fix the low quality lead issue? So to immediately filter out leads who are never serious, we need to focus on adding filters to our process. And so you should check out my previous video, which I posted, which was about why discounted treatments or low ticket treatments are better than expensive or mid ticket treatments. But in a nutshell, filters are bottlenecks that we purposely create to eliminate the time wasters. So for example, our leads must speak to a team member in order to be able to schedule. Our leads must prepay for the appointment in full in order to schedule. The leads must answer a 10-question form in order to get to the scheduling page. Our leads must watch a video before they even have the opportunity to submit their information or before they have the opportunity to schedule themselves in. So my preference here is that we create flow with a really good offer. So something that's a little bit lower ticket, much more irresistible, and then we get as many leads as possible and then filter out the bad ones from there with these filters, or implementing different filters into our process. We don't want to create filters with the offer itself. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are like, oh, well, why can't we just advertise something that's, $200, $300, $400 on the front end? Because naturally we're going to get rid of a whole lot of those, tire kickers. But I found that decreases the amount of leads that you're getting by so much that it's just not worth doing. And so we want to get as many leads as possible. And then once we have the contact information, then we want to weed people out after that. That's usually the best way. Because like I said in the beginning, the worst problem that you can have as a business is to have no leads at all. And so we want to fix our lead problem first, and then from there we can filter people out. The next problem here, leads don't respond. So if you're getting leads but they don't respond, then you probably either don't follow up fast enough, don't follow up enough, your follow-up sucks, or you have an offer problem. And you're going to notice that throughout this entire video, the offer is going to continue to come up time and time again. Like I said earlier in the video, the number one thing that you can focus on is building a better offer. The better your offer, the better your entire system is going to work. But with that said, how do we get more responses? So when we get a lead and they're high quality, how do we get them to respond to us? So the first problem of not following up fast enough, our goal here should be to text leads within the first 5 minutes of them submitting their information, and also call leads within the first 5 minutes, obviously within normal business hours. So Monday through Friday, we want to be trying to call leads from 9 to 6 or 9 to 5 or whatever your opening hours are within 5 minutes of them submitting their information. And I know that this sounds really ambitious, but I can't tell you how many times we get a lead that submits their information, we call them within 3 minutes, and they book the appointment right then and there, because that is when they are the most excited, is immediately after they submitted their information. As time goes on, they get less and less excited about that thing that they saw on Facebook or Instagram when they were scrolling. So we want to be really quick with this. Now, obviously, you don't have to be calling people. People will submit your form at 12 a.m. or like 2 in the morning or something, and we don't need to have somebody that's calling them right after they submit the form then. But within normal business hours, we want to be calling people within 5 minutes. Ideally, if you can call people on the weekends as well, because I know for some of my clients, like, they won't get any leads during the week, and then they get like dozens and dozens of leads during the weekend. And so, you really just have to kind of see what your market is like. And if you get a lot of leads on the weekend, it might make sense to call leads on the weekend. So the second problem here is not following up enough. So our goal here should be to send out 1 to 2 texts per day for the first 3 to 4 days after they submit their information. And then we want to set up a long-term sequence to go out until they unsubscribe. And so I know that probably sounds a little bit aggressive, but here's what we want to do, right? Someone submits their information. We want to text them and confirm with them within the first couple minutes of them submitting their information. We want to send them probably 2 texts on the very first day. And then we want to send them reminder texts after that for the next 2 or 3 days. And then if they don't respond after this bulk of text, then we want to set up a long-term sequence. And what I mean by that is maybe we don't text them every single day for the rest of time, but we send them a text 2 days later. And then if they don't respond to that one, we send them a text 4 days later, and then another one 6 days later, and then another one 14 days later. And then at the very far end, we want to at least be sending people a text every month. So 1 text every month, that's it. The reason for that is because you would be surprised. There are a lot of people who will submit their information, something happens in their life, they don't respond to anything, and then you text them 3 months from when they submitted their information, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I'm ready to do this now. And then they respond back to your text. And so the only reason that you shouldn't be contacting people who have rightfully submitted their information and said, I'm willing to get messages, is if they've opted out. If they said stop or unsubscribe or whatever, then do not text them anymore. But if someone doesn't say that, then we want to be hitting them up, especially in the beginning, multiple times, but then at least once a month until they unsubscribe. The third problem here, your follow-up sucks. So you want to ask yourself here, is the offer clear? Okay, so if your follow-up, if you want to be testing the actual messages or the text that you're sending to people, you want to ask yourself, okay, when I send a text, is the offer clear? Like, is what we're actually offering clear and specific and they can understand it easily? Is there a reason for them to respond to this text right now? Like, if you're just sending people texts and you're like, hey, like, are you still interested? It's like, there isn't really like a strong reason to respond right now. But if you're like, hey, we have only 2 of these vouchers left, we just want to reach out to make sure that you can get it if you're still interested, now there's a specific reason why they should respond, right? The third problem here is, are there clear instructions on next steps? So if you're just like, hey, are you still interested? Like, the clear thing from there is to say yes, but it's like, what happens after that? And so sometimes I like to just include something like, hey, respond the word yes if you're still interested, because now it is very clear what people should do. If they respond the word yes, they are indicating that they're still interested. Or if you even say like, respond the word yes and we'll send you over the next steps, then it's like, okay, they respond the word yes, and now we are going to send you the next step. So it's very clear what's going to happen next. And then the fourth thing is the problem that you can solve clear? And so when you're sending a text to people, especially when they submit their information for something, even just the next day, they forget, right? They're like, what the heck is this thing that I even submitted my information for? So you want to make it very clear and be like, oh, this is the thing that you submitted for the body sculpting offer, or for the, the skin tightening offer, or whatever it is, so that people are very clear on what problem you're actually going to be helping them solve. So I would also focus on revising the first 4 texts primarily. You're going to get like the majority of your responses to the beginning communication. And so if you're having a response issue and you are already following up fast enough and you're following up enough, then it's either an offer issue or it's the text that you're actually sending out need to be worked and need to be fixed. I would focus on like the first 4 texts primarily, because anything beyond that is likely not having like a huge impact. The next problem here, if leads don't schedule. So if you successfully get people to actually pick up the phone, but they're not scheduling with you when you call them, there's likely something wrong with your phone script or your process that you have your team go through or you go through when you're actually calling these leads. So how to get leads to schedule. It's very important to remember that this phone call, if someone picks up, if a Facebook lead or Instagram lead picks up the phone, this call is not an appointment setting call. It is a qualifying call. Okay. It's another opportunity for you to filter out the bad leads and see who's genuinely actually serious about coming in. And so the basic structure of this call is we want to first give context for why we're calling. Hey, I saw you submitted your information for this thing. I just wanted to reach out real quick. We then want to ask some qualifying questions to make sure that they're not going to waste our time, and we can very quickly figure out who's serious and who's not. We want to briefly explain the treatment and offer, and briefly is very important. Like, you should pitch the treatment and the offer within 15 to 30 seconds. And then from there, if they say, yep, that sounds good, I'm interested, then you book them in directly for an appointment right then and there. And so the most important part of this is the qualifying, because again, we need to figure out who's serious and who's not. During the qualifying, the things that we want to learn is do they have the problem that you solve? So we want to ask questions like, hey, what motivated you to reach out to learn more about this treatment? What are your target areas? Have you tried something like this in the past, right? Do they have a reason to act right now, right? So if someone's like, oh yeah, I'm interested in this, but I'm going on vacation or I'm traveling and I'm not going to be back for a month, then it's not worth scheduling them in right then and there. Like, if someone's like, yeah, I can't schedule for a month, then I'll be like, you know what? Why don't I just reach back out to you in a month and then we can get you scheduled then. Don't even go into the pitching of your treatment and your offer or anything like that. Just say, hey, no reason to get you on the calendar now if you can't come in for a month or two. Let's just chat then, right? And so you can very politely get off the call and not waste your time with people who are like, oh, I can't schedule for a month, right? Do they have the propensity to buy? So you want to ask questions around, have they bought things like this before? It's very difficult on these calls to figure out if people have money and they have money to invest or spend on your treatments, but we want to ask questions that make it more likely. So if you're like, hey, have you tried something like this before? Or have you been to another med spa before? Have you gotten treatments like this before? Then if someone says, yes, I've gotten, XYZ, blah, blah, blah before, then we know that they have a likelihood or a higher propensity or a higher likelihood of actually spending money on your treatments if they've bought treatments with someone else in the past. Doing this simultaneously helps you get off the phone with tire kickers, right? Because if they don't have a serious problem, if they have no reason to act right now, or they don't want to schedule for months and months, or if they don't have the propensity to buy, then we can very politely get off the phone and just, not schedule that person in. And on top of that, we can build more desire for the appointment, because when we get people talking about the problem that they have, and when we actually, figure out, okay, you do have a reason why you want to be doing this right now, then we can build desire, right? So like I said here, qualifying them and also having a really good explanation of the treatment and the offer that you're providing creates desire, and desire is what gets people to actually want to book the appointment in the first place. Then and only then you assume the appointment and get them scheduled. So what do I mean by assume the appointment? If you go through your little pitch and you say, like, hey, here's the treatment, here's the offer that we're giving away, how does that sound? And they say, yep, that sounds good. What I used to do is I used to say, okay, great, well, we'd love to get you scheduled. How does that sound? And then people would be like, oh, well, I don't know, I think I want to wait or whatever. If someone says, yep, that sounds good, I'm liking the way that this sounds, I usually just go straight into scheduling. So if someone's like, yep, that all sounds great, then I go, awesome, we're open from 9 to 6. Do you have a preference for mornings or afternoons? Just go straight into it, right? Assume the appointment. Next problem here, leads don't show up. So if you're scheduling appointments, but the leads aren't showing up, it's probably because your offer isn't good, common theme of the video, or you aren't actively creating excitement for them to actually show up. So how do you get leads to show up? Well, you get leads excited to show up by creating a hyper personalized appointment reminder process. And that is quite the mouthful, but most appointment reminders are way too clinical, right? Like if you schedule an appointment with your doctor, then you get a text from them and it's just like appointment reminder, here's the time, don't forget. And that's it, right? Instead of doing that, you want to clearly demonstrate that you are thinking about that person and you are going out of your way to make sure that the appointment is incredible and amazing. And lucky for you, most of this can be automated. But just to give you some basic ideas of some of the different things that I do for my clients, we'll send them like a personalized video tour of your office where you're walking around and you're saying, hey, look, this is what our office looks like. Here's our receptionist, Samantha. Say hi, Samantha, whatever, right? The second thing here is you take a selfie pointing to your signage outside and you say, hey, this is what the front of our building looks like. We're right across the street from 7-Eleven. Can't wait to see you later, right? You give them an A/B choice between bonuses. So if it's like, hey, we have, we know that the offer said that you would be getting bonus A, but we also wanted to see if you had a preference between bonus A or bonus B. Which one would you rather choose? And then people will say, oh, bonus B. That one sounds better, whatever, right? What we're doing here is we are using the law of reciprocity to our advantage, right? So we want people to think, man, I really appreciate everything that they've done for me. And my appointment hasn't even happened yet, right? I haven't even showed up and they've already sent me this personalized video. They sent me this selfie. They're, showing their personality. They gave me a choice between what bonuses I want and everything. I can only imagine how amazing the appointment is going to be, right? That is the effect that we want to have with our appointment reminder process. The appointment reminder process is honestly like 20% there to just remind people, and it's like 80% there to really show that you are thinking about that person to get them to actually show up. And so this way, if you do this, you're building rapport as well and showing that you're not some sketchy fake business, because that's part of the reason why people don't show up is because they're like, is this even like a real business? Like, do I know anything? I've never heard of these people before. Like, is this legit? But if you're like sending them videos and pictures and you're showing your team and all this stuff, like then they're like, oh, okay, these are real people. They're thinking about me. All right, I'll show up, right? The next problem here, leads don't buy. This is probably one of the biggest problems, the most important problems, but it's also probably one of the hardest to solve. So if your leads are showing up to their appointment and they're not buying, it's likely because you either didn't wow them on the first visit, you didn't give them an insane, incredible experience, or you don't have a proper sales process. And the likelihood is that it's more likely number 2 than it is number 1 here. So how do we get our leads to buy? So for a lot of people, when I say the word sales, they think that sales is synonymous with used car salesman or being super pushy, super high pressure, super sleazy, right? You think of like the salespeople that you see in movies is what you picture when you hear the word sales. But your sales process is as sleazy as you make it, okay? This is so important to remember. Like if you use like super pushy, high pressure, sleazy sales tactics, then yes, that is absolutely sleazy, but it doesn't have to be that way is the important thing to remember. I can make an hour-long video on sales mindset, but the bottom line here is that if you are speaking with someone who has a painful problem and you genuinely believe that you have the expertise, the tools, the resources required to solve that problem for them, then you are doing them a disservice by not trying to sell them your thing, right? And if you think otherwise, then it's likely because you don't truly believe in the value that you're providing, right? If someone says, hey, I have this problem has, I've had this problem for a long time, it sucks, it doesn't feel good, and then you go, hey, I think I can actually help you with that, then you are doing them a disservice by not selling, right? You're doing them a disservice by not trying to be the problem solver for the issue that they're facing. So the general layout of the first visit is that they show up, you're going to do your paperwork, administrative stuff, get the information that you need at the front desk, whatever, right? The second thing here is you want to do the consultation first, right? So a lot of people, they have like the discounted first treatment that they're advertising and they want to do that first because that's what the appointment is about. You want to do the consultation while they're still sitting in the pain. So the person has that painful problem. You want to really dig into that painful problem and understand, okay, how serious is this for you? And then you try to sell your treatment plan or your package. And then only after you've tried to sell the treatment plan or package, then you do the treatment, right? So you do the treatment second, consult first, treatment second. And then from there, you schedule a follow-up appointment no matter what. So if someone bought a treatment plan, fantastic, schedule them for a follow-up appointment for whatever the treatment plan is. If someone didn't buy for whatever reason, then you should come up with a reason to get them to show up again. Be like, okay, no problem. More than happy to give you, blah, 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 free bonus, or, more than happy to give you this super highly discounted other treatment if you want to schedule a follow-up appointment with us today. The goal is to just get them back into your office again. We don't want to just let people walk out of the door because you will never see them again, right? So it's important to get something on the calendar that they would be excited to show up for, whether it's a follow-up for their treatment plan that they just bought or whether it's just something else, right? And then the consultation, because obviously the consultation is where you're actually doing the selling. It's where you're going to get people to buy the treatment plan or package. And so the structure of the consultation is incredibly important. This is a topic for another video. It would take forever to go through it now. But the basic outline is we want to discover their pain points and the implications of those pain points. So in human speak here, we want to understand, like, okay, this is the problem that they're coming in for. Let's dig in a little bit. Let's understand why that problem is serious for them. Like, what are the implications of that problem? So you said, like, oh, okay, you know, you've been working out really hard, you've been eating well, but it seems like there's just like a little bit of stubborn fat that just won't seem to go away. Like, how long have you been dealing with that? How long have you been working out for? What things have you tried that hasn't worked for you super well? That must be super frustrating. Like, how has that had an impact on other areas of your life, right? So we're trying to understand the implications of the problem, because problems are a dime a dozen, right? Everybody has problems. I can come in and say, oh, I want to lose weight, but we want to understand what the implications of that problem or that pain point is, right? So yes, I want to lose weight, but why do you want to lose weight? Why is that a painful problem for you? Okay. And then from there, after you understand the pain points and the implications, we do a soft pitch. So no hard selling, no hard pitching whatsoever. We're not trying to pressure people into making a decision right then and there on the spot, but we want to do a soft pitch and just be like, hey, here's how this thing works. Here's the treatment. Here's what we would typically recommend for somebody in your place. This is what it would cost, right? And then from there, we want to close and handle objections. So in the closing phase, you would tell them the price, you would ask them if they want to move forward, or you would say, hey, you know, the card that you have on file, is that one okay for doing something like this? And then if they have any objections, like, oh, I have to think about it, or I got to talk to my husband or wife, or, oh, I got to do this other thing, like, I don't know if I want to move forward with this right now, then you want to politely and respectfully handle those objections. So if someone says, oh, I need to think about it, you can be like, absolutely, of course, you should take all of the time in the world to think about this, because this is an important decision for you, I can tell. Just out of curiosity, is there anything in particular about any of the pieces of the process that I went over that you're thinking about? Like, what pieces of the process are you thinking about in particular? And then you can help them kind of dig in, because I'll think about it is a surface level, like that doesn't mean anything. But if you say, oh, and they say, oh, you know what, honestly, it's a little bit out of my price range, then all of a sudden that is a problem we can solve. We can go, oh, okay, this is out of your price range. Well, why don't we do this? We have, we're partnered with Cherry, right? We're partnered with this financing program or this financing platform that makes it super affordable. Or if they don't want to do that, you could be like, okay, no problem. I understand this is a little bit out of the price range at the moment. We do have this other thing that's only $497 or whatever, a lower price than the thing that you were trying to sell at first, right? What most people do is they say, hey, here's our treatment plan. Here's how much it costs. Do you want to do it? Someone says, I'm going to think about it. And then they go, yep, you should think about it. And then they never talk to that person ever again. And that's why you don't sell anybody. Something that's really important to remember, and I heard this from a guy named Alex Hormozy. He said that out of all of the leads or all the people that are coming in for an appointment, 10% of them were going to buy no matter what, right? They were already convinced, they're ready to go. 10% of them were never going to buy. They never had any intention to buy. That 80%, the other 80% are the people that you are losing, right? Those are the sales that you need to start to recuperate, right? Or you need to start to get more of those people to buy. And right now you're likely only getting that first 10% who are going to buy no matter what. Those are the ones that are buying your treatment plans and packages right now. And the real profit is made with that other 80% who needs a little bit of convincing, right? That's a topic for another video. I hope this video was helpful in solving all of the most common advertising problems for your med spa or aesthetic practice, and I will see you in the next one.